Hey, how you doing? It is going to be a lovely day outside, so I hope you can get outside for at least a little bit to check in the blue sky and breathe the air. I know I am. It's going to be lovely. So when we're talking about, I have your keywords up here, attachment disorders in adolescence, how do we get more keywords and how do we narrow down or how do we figure out whether we've got enough stuff and so on and so forth. So this one's kind of big, isn't it? Here's some three pieces that we can do. The first one that I recommend is if you go to usa.gov. This is the US government portal, and thanks to, I think it's like the Freedom of Information Act or the Reduction in Paperwork Act or some bunch of acts that have happened in the last 20 years, we have a lot of stuff that's online. And so, there's some like secret things like how to make nuclear bombs that aren't on there, but the federal level publishes a lot of stuff. In fact, it's the biggest publisher in the world. And there's different government things, so like the Center for Disease Control and Department of Education. But there's also individual states, cities, counties. They're all reporting up through this portal. It's pretty cool. So what we can do is we can use this to type in I have to say it out loud, adolescents. And I put attachment disorder in quotes, so it would find that as a single keyword instead of attachment here and disorder there. But what you do when you're looking through this is there's a lot of stuff written about attachment disorders, and some of it might not be important. It might be esoteric or tangential. It might not matter. And so what you'll have in here is you'll have the National Institute of Health, and you'll have, I'm looking for other ones, the CDC, Center for Disease Control, and these other groups. I don't see Department of Education. They must be in there somewhere. But let me show you one of them. Data and statistics, behavior or conduct problems. These are kind of like encyclopedia entries of like, these are the most important things that matter in current research. And so we don't know when this was published, but it's likely to be pretty recent. Here's the thing, is when you're looking for the most important thing, you might have to look at several of these documents and you might start to see things repeat itself, and then you'll know that oppositional defiant disorder is the way to go. I was looking at this picture earlier. It's so posed and artificial, but I imagine the little boy saying, "You put too much salt on this dinner," and the little girl's like, "Oh, here it comes." And mom's like, "I did not put too much salt." And all of a sudden Gordon Ramsay comes in and starts swearing. I thought those posed photos are so great. So here's some things that you can do. So you could look up this, or you could look up this, and you could look up individual disorders. You could also look at how do you fix things like this, or what do you do for an intervention? And a lot of these are pretty straightforward, but these are things you could use in your literature review. So that's one place to go. So I'm going to open up a new window just in case I want to go back. And I have a keywords here. USA.gov. Search for what's being talked about. Next one is a database called PsycInfo. Let me show you that one. PsycInfo has this cool thing that no other database that I know of has. And this is in the library databases, so you'd have to be logged in for this. Oh, I always put an H in there. This is the one. PsycInfo from the APA. This one has this cool breakdown of all of the different things that are being written about. So this isn't the greatest hits. This is everything being written about it in the last 20, 25 years. So let's do attachment disorder. And let me show you something else. Disorder. If you do a star there, it will and actually here you can see In the pull down menu, you can see suggestions of other searches that they've done. That's something that you could also use. But we're going to put in a population. But if you do attachment disorder star, that'll do attachment disorder and attachment disorders. And because this is a regular database, you have to put in those operators like AND. And what was our, adolescents. Oh, I'm going to cut and paste this so I don't have to spell it again. It just can't spell that on the fly. And we'll do a star, so it'll get adolescent or adolescents. So this is all psychology. So this is clinical practice, this is research, this is interventions, this is comorbidities, this is all of those different studies. And when you're looking for keywords, again, in that big set of keywords that you were looking at, what you can do is, first of all, each one of these articles will have keywords or subject terms that are generated by the authors of the article. So Makita, Takiguchi, et al., when they made this article, they wanted people to know exactly what they were getting into. And so they made a very descriptive title, but also they chose their keywords. And there those are. And so these are, if you had to boil it down to just words, these are the most important things about the article that they want you to know. But what you can do after you do a search is you can search through all of the keywords of all of those, and it can be generated in a list. So if we go down to subject right here, whoops, did I just click on major heading? I want the ones that were, it's not the major heading. Or maybe I do, I don't know. Mess around with both of those. But what you'll have here is the subjects of all those 400 articles laid out in popularity. So the number of times that it's showed up. And it's interesting that attachment disorders isn't the top keyword, but attachment behavior. So that might be something that you negotiate with. And this is adolescents. We already have that population in there. So you could back out and not do adolescents and see what else they're talking about. So this might help. So you can see it might be a developmental thing. So development or developmental might be one of your keywords. Risk factors, treatment or intervention might be one. There might be other populations in relation. So caregiver might be a big deal. So if you have to take care of somebody with an attachment disorder, and here's comorbidity. Maybe this is something that is cause. Maybe this is another comorbidity. So these are some of the things that you could use for keywords as well. All of those can be narrowed down by date. So you're not going back into the Stone Age of psychology, but you could come up to like the most recent 5 or 6 years. Another way that you can go through to discover keywords or what interests you is if you go through the titles and you see something that, so there's only 133. You could read each one of these and you could just go, oh, the relationship between attachment and depression, that one really interests me. And then you could go through and read just like the first, or even just the abstract, and you could start to get an idea of what people are writing about. So that abstract is just this first chunk right here, where they'll go through their points really quickly and you can go, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. So that might get you out of that keyword funk as well. One other one that I want to show you it's not a psychology database, but it's one that's popular with researchers. It's called Web of Science. There's another one called Scopus. Excuse me. Web of Science. And on this one, attach disorder. Adolescents. Oh, I did it. The librarian spelled it. So you can go into topic or title or author, and you could go through those specific things. I'm just going to see what happens with this. So this is Web of Science is looking at all the literature, all the disciplines. So this is like engineering, electrical engineering. It's got medicine. It's got humanities, art, English, rhetoric. It's got social sciences, so like business, psychology, sociology, social work. All of those things mixed together. So everyone might be writing about these things. But what you can do is you can see things that are going on right now. So this is being published. When was this published? Where's it published? Oh, there we go. This was published in December. But what you can do is you can click on this time cited, and you can see what are, I'm going to move my head. You can see what are the most important articles that have been written. I'll move my head again. So right here, see there's 448 citations. There's 201 citations. That means that here's 173. So this one, attachment disturbances and disorders in children exposed to early severe deprivation. This points to another article from the PsycInfo from the APA database where it's had trauma. Do you remember that? So severe deprivation is definitely traumatic. And this might be one of those things where you could figure out these are the most important things that are being written in scholarship. So it's kind of like you have like CDC where you figure out what they say is the greatest hits, then you can see everything in APA, and then you go over to this one, and then you can see maybe a repetition of what's already been showing up. And as you do this research, you'll start to figure out what the most important things are to you specifically, but also you'll get this confirmation and validation of what other people have been researching, if that makes sense. So as you go through these, keep me informed, and I'm happy to continue helping. But I think the best practice is look for articles that make sense to you, that look interesting to you, download them, and get a tidy pile. So whatever you have to do, whatever your assignment requirement is, do about double. So if you need 6 articles, download 12. And then try and arrange them in kind of a narrative order by what the meaning is in a nutshell. So, for example, this one, if I were to download this one, I would say attachment disorders are very much known to come from childhood trauma. That would be like one article. And then you might move on to a drug intervention or counseling intervention or family intervention and so on and so forth. Okay? Let me know how it goes. Get out in the sun today if you can.